Yo, the challenge. The challenge has arisen. So I must walk back now. I've been challenged to do what I came here to do. I've been challenged to say what I had in mind. I've been challenged to be as brutally honest as I can be on the platforms where I'm allowed to be brutally honest. And basically what I'm doing at the moment is very fickle. I mean, have you, specifically you, Mr. or Mrs., ever tried to be successful with YouTube? I did ask for a job today. I have no idea whether I'm going to get it. You know, there are a lot of factors that will contribute to that choice, and I've just made an honest request. I said, hey, do you want to have me in your team? And I was a little bit nervous, but I knew why I did it. And the reason I did it was because at the moment, you know, I can only do so much on the internet, right? I can say, hey, you know, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Walking home now is a challenge. That's the truth. I'm glad it's dry. If it weren't, I still have my poncho and I still have an umbrella. My job is to speak the truth. You know, I don't know why I'm walking so much and why I'm recording the entire way. But at the moment, you know, what makes sense for me is to simply continue to do something. But, you know, I'm really trying to stop talking about women, believe me. I'm really trying, but I'm so in love. I'm so in love with a woman. And it's killing me to not know where she is. It's killing me to not see her, to not touch her. I mean, if you've ever felt like this, and you knew this was gonna be it, not because you said things, but because when it happened, you just felt it. Maybe you felt it a little bit too late, but you did feel it. And that's what truth is. It's, here you are, you know, that's it. It's like, what the heck? Like, do I have to simply accept that? I mean, like, what does that even mean, that's it? What does it mean? Well, it means she's got you by the balls. Like, if she squeezes, you're gonna say something. And, you know, I was trying to, you know, I'm talking about it again. You know, I'm really struggling because, you know, just think about it. Let's say you're in the desert. You know, I'm just going to try to use images to tell you how I feel. Like, let's say you're in the middle of nowhere, like in the desert. Let's just say you're the little prince, or the guy in the story of the little prince, basically the narrator, and you're stranded in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing. There's just nothing but you and sand and heat well, and cold at night, of course. But, you know, you've got no shade, you've got no umbrella, but what you got is thirst, yeah? The desire to drink. Now, I'm trying to use proverbs now so that I can create a loop towards spirituality. You know, I know how it all connects. You know, I can feel it, I can sense it, I know it in my heart. But to explain that to you, who may not know anything about this, you know how the feminine, you know, and the masculine, you know, what is what. You know, this kind of knowledge is so vast. It's so vast that talking about it, you know, it's like that's a tongue breaker in itself. To try to, you know, be me with all my emotions and my feelings, and to be me with all these emotions and all these feelings, but also to, you know, be able to distance myself from all these emotions and these feelings, and then to create something where other people can actually learn from. You know, I'm not sure what's happening. You know, am I gonna get the job? Am I not gonna get the job? Who actually heard that I want to apply for a job? Probably no one, because who cares whether you're gonna get the job, right? I mean, who's gonna listen to 1 hour? To 1 hour of me walking around talking about women and how much in love I am, and then I'm so like, you know? So it makes no sense. But it makes sense to me, because I'm feeling it. I'm the one who's in the fucking middle. I'm the center of my universe. You know, you're the center of your universe. And, you know, if two universes get together, you know, maybe they're gonna create another universe. Because what does that mean? It means, what's a universe? I mean, a universe. Well, that's, first of all, the word uni, which probably comes from union, which is, you know, something like that's joined together. And then you've got a verse. What's a verse? You know, if you've got a verse in, you know, poetry, it's like one line of something that rhymes or whatever. You know, or you can speak in verse, you know, versatility, that's also in there. You know, everything's kind of also different. So now you've got the universe, and I'm my own universe because I'm very versatile. You know, I have many things that I like, then I have things that I dislike. But even the things that I dislike, right, I can find things that I like in them. And even the things that I like, I can find things that I dislike in them. And so it's duality, right? I mean, that's what it is. People keep talking to me about bare feet and glass, you know, that's what they're worried about. Why they never walk around bare feet, why barefoot, because they're afraid to step into glass. Like, I mean, what kind of a stupid fear is that? To jeopardize the health of your feet just by completely stupid fear. Because what is fear, my friend? It's irrational. It's an emotion. You know, it's something that comes from the root chakra. It's the source of this society. This society is a lot of people getting together, right? That were formerly afraid of nature and still are afraid of nature. And that's why they killed all the animals and they got rid of as much nature as they could until they realized, oh wow, I have the feeling we actually do need nature. And then they started to realize, holy moly, maybe we're all connected. Well, that's probably the person sitting in the middle of the forest, you know, having ingested a large doses of psychedelic mushrooms or just smoking weed, oh wow, I think, you know, maybe we are all connected. Duh, you know? I mean, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? It's kind of obvious. But that's the realization that's really hard to swallow. Because I can feel other people inside of me. You know, that's like the Philosopher's Stone from Full Metal Alchemist, well, Brotherhood if you will. That's basically the Philosopher's Stone. And you know, what's the idea of the Philosopher's Stone? You know, we find the Philosopher's Stone. I don't have to make sense, you know. If that annoys you, you know, just switch to something else, because I'm just, you know, that's the way I roll. I don't really have to make a rap song. I can just talk and then just see what comes out. Because at the moment, making rap songs is, to me, very, very hard. So let's talk about the Philosopher's Stone. You know, what is the Philosopher's Stone? You know, I have the feeling that Joanne K. Rowling barely scratched the surface of the meaning that is behind, or basically saturates the word, the Philosopher's Stone. I mean, that's not one word, that's the Philosopher's Stone. I mean, you could try and write it together, you know, you could try it. Let's just talk about the Philosopher's Stone. Now, I'm just clinging to something because I think I have to make sense for people about stuff that makes no sense. Nothing makes sense, you know, but you're listening to this, which means that you're looking for sense. You're trying to understand something. I mean, when you strand in my world, I mean, you're pretty lost, my friend. I mean, you don't know what the fuck is going on. Because otherwise, why would you listen to me? There's no point in listening to me. Especially not in a video that has been shot at night. Because you can't even see me. And maybe that's actually something that's very beneficial, because you don't get sucked into this. You know, how does he look like? Is he handsome? You know, would I actually like to kiss him? You know, how would his breath smell? You know, all these kinds of questions that you have to ask yourself. You know, is his beard in a nice way? Should I cut my beard like this? You know, how big are his ears? Wow, you know, how blue are his eyes? How big is his nose? How dark is his skin? Or how tanned is it? You know, all these questions, they're so ridiculous. And let's just see if we can connect this all together after a day of bouldering. Because now it's 10:30 roughly in the night. And I had a nice session at bouldering. I realized that I often do the hardest ones in the beginning, just to test my strength and to realize, oh wow, I can do it. And then next time maybe I can do it like somewhere in between. Anyway, you know, I've really progressed in bouldering, and I really like that. Like, I really, really like it. You know, it's really nice that I'm progressing. And I've put in a lot of work. I'm also progressing myself. I'm still struggling. And, well, the way Joanne K. Rowling, you know, sometimes I just start recording and then I just drop certain things and then I can pick up on them as I go along. So now I still have the universe open and I still have the Philosopher's Stone. I have Joanne K. Rowling's Philosopher's Stone version, and I also have the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood version of the Philosopher's Stone. And I can see how that all connects, you know, and I can talk about love and women and how, you know, two universes make a third one. Universes, and how the universe, oh wow, they actually used university. Like, that's a fucking ego trip, my friend. That's a fucking ego trip. University. right? They just made an institution. You know, it's like, we're the universe, so let's call it university. And we're gonna say, you know, we have all the knowledge. No, all the knowledge is always there. And I don't need to open a book to understand anything. I don't need to read books to talk like this. I don't need to read anything. I can get all the knowledge that I want just by observation, by watching movies that everybody else watches, by reading the books that everybody else reads, you know? I don't have to read these really boring, spiritual, stupid books that people write that never lived. Because most stuff that people write spiritual books, most of these books are based on no experiences. It's like, you know, people read books and then they just sum it up and write a book from it. But if you don't make experiences and confirm whether or not what you read was true, you know, what's the point of you writing a book? There's no point. Which is why you could stop. Which is why I can continue without ever touching a book. You know, I have books like Harry Potter. And I read that occasionally. At the moment, I just don't feel like it anymore because, you know, I'm Harry Potter, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's the story of my life. You know, I was basically born into the closet under the stairs, you know, where my entire potential was just like spat on. You know, you're stupid, 2nd grade, right? You need to go, you know, if you don't learn and behave, you have to go to a school for special children. That's like, everything you are is shit. You know, I want to learn how to defend myself. Well, we don't like if you know judo because, you know, I think, you know, you might become too powerful and aggressive. And so, yeah, you can't learn that. Alright, then I don't know how to defend myself. Alright, you know, just keep on coming, right? Everything I want to do is just shit, you know? Everything I want to do is just shit. I mean, I'm still living in the closet, if you will. Nah, I've been moved, right? I've been moved to Dudley's 2nd bedroom now. That's basically where I've been moved to, you know. I'm now in Dudley's 2nd bedroom, or maybe I'm already in Hogwarts. And I just don't realize it. Maybe I just don't realize how I'm the one who's already living in Hogwarts, you know? And maybe you're living in Hogwarts too, you just don't realize it. I actually wrote a book on that. And it's called... What's it called? I think I must be magic. Listen, I don't make the prices. The prices are a feeling that I have. That's how much this book is going to cost. If that's not worth it to you, you don't have to fucking buy it, my friend. You know, it's like, you don't have to buy it, but if you have money to have a car and a Netflix account, well, then you can invest money into something that you want if you want it. So the Philosopher's Stone, you know, this is not going to be one of these articles that you read and, you know, you keep on reading and they keep on hinting that there's some insane wisdom in this, but then the wisdom never comes. No, okay, Philosopher's Stone, you know, I have to sort myself out also. I also have to be a bit of a salesman. I have to do a little bit of marketing. I just have to say what I came here to say, which is buy my books. You know, just be honest. I just want you to buy my fucking book, man, because I think they're great. I wrote really nice books. It's like, that's like a whole experience, my friend. And you can read it, or you can just write one yourself. You know, nobody's gonna force you. I think the best book I wrote thus far, I really liked I Never Knew I Was Alone, which is about being alone. I also really liked Letters to the Government. That's actually my first novel. You know, it's like, I really liked it, and it's novel. It's like, That's novelty. That's novelty, like literally. So, you know, it's always your choice. It's always your choice. You know, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, there's no sidewalk here. So you could say it may be a little bit dangerous, but I think I'm alright. You know, I can just walk in the middle of the road. Because that's the great thing about the night. There are less cars or fewer. I'm not sure. Is it countable? Yeah, it is. Less or fewer, you know, one of them. I'm supposed to know this because somebody told me. I think it's fewer cars. Fewer, yeah, it's less water, because you cannot count water as in like, you know, 1 water, 2 water. No, it's just water. And then fewer cars. You know, you even learn English from somebody who's supposed to be, in terms of nationality, German. I think that, like, you know, I can't really say that anymore. Anyway, The Philosopher's Stone by Joanne K. Rowling is basically this stone that's of a red color, crimson colored, and they don't say how, but it's supposed to generate the elixir of life. That's like the nice and cuddly version of Harry Potter, I think, right? It's like, you know, not like that dark, you know, it's just something that keeps you alive. And I really, you know, I just get these flashbacks sometimes, feelings, images from how I used to be, you know, how it was the first time I watched Harry Potter in the cinema, or how me and my friend Thomas in Norway, when it was like really cold. I mean, it was sunny, but that didn't bother us. We just put down the shutters and we watched Harry Potter. We made like a session, and then we made our own honey beer, butter beer. It's actually, you make it with butter and beer and I think honey or sugar. I'm not so sure about it. You know, it's just like sweet beer. I mean, and it's like nice and it's warm because it's cold outside. You know, it will never be like butter beer. It will never be like butter beer. Because butter beer is, of course, a fabrication. So to go out looking for butter beer, you could look for your own butter beer. So if you would make, you know, but you have to be a bit careful, because if you use ginger with milk, the milk will clog. Because there's something in the ginger that just makes everything clog. Like, you know, if you have like, I don't know, it's just like, you know what I'm saying. I mean, clogging in milk, like something with the protein and something about things happening on a large scale in the world and nobody knows what's going on, right? I just take ginger. And maybe I take ginger for granted because it's actually something that you just have to be careful that there's nobody lurking here with a knife or something. You know, I've made my experiences, and that's also why I just stay away from large cities at the moment. You know, also just small cities. You know, I just stay at home and then I go to the boulder hall. You know, I don't really have to go anywhere at all, you know. So I'm really hopeful that I'm gonna get a job, maybe earn some money, or maybe just start earning money with my content. You know, it's always a possibility. You know, great stuff, this, whatever, YouTube content creation. You know, I'm walking at home and it couldn't be less boring, because I can actually talk about random stuff and nobody's here, you know, except for the cars, of course. I think it's just nice effects. Cars coming and going, it's like left, right, you know, noise, no noise. That's just a transition. So we talk about, that's just my mind, by the way, you know, I really think like this. So if you would be me, you'd go insane, you know, that's a guarantee. And so I'm just continuing the Philosopher's Stone. You know, now we go to the Philosopher's Stone as it has been pictured or shown in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. What the Philosopher's Stone is there is basically millions of souls that are being pressed into through alchemy, because that's what Full Metal Alchemist is about. Full Metal Alchemist, super cool show. It's a bit bloody. There are two versions of this. I watched the Brotherhood one because I felt like it was less sickening. I mean, the episode with the guy who transforms his daughter into, you know, mixes it through alchemy into some kind of dog and then tries to sell it as, you know, some kind of new creation. I mean, that's just sick. And that's in the other version of Full Metal Alchemist. And I'm like, alright, you know, I get it. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The Philosopher's Stone is like millions of souls that are being harnessed by, you know, slaughtering lots of people, like lots and lots of people, killing them, and then harnessing their life's energy for some kind of ritual. Now the question is, of course, would that work in real life? Could there be an agenda that does this to people? Well, only if you allow it to happen. Only if you stay, you know, if you stand around silently while people are being chased around by their fear, right? And are being discriminated against for who they are, right? Discriminated against for being, you know, how it used to be Jews, by maybe refusing certain medical procedures, right? By refusing certain ideologies. You know, I stand against discrimination. You know, I've been discriminated against quite a lot. You know, I've been rejected for my opinions at the cost of, you know, we're gonna close down your account. And that's kind of sickening, to be honest. But I just continued. I simply stopped talking about certain topics, and I just said, you know what? I can talk about whatever I want on here, but just not certain topics. So I just stay away from that, you know? So I just put it into an image, and I say, hey, how about talking about, you know, Philosopher's Stones? I don't know why I'm talking about this, but now that I'm talking about it, I realize the relevance of talking about it, because I can talk about it. You know, let's just say they just wanted to see, you know, I don't know how this works. Would that work in real life? Can there be power? You know, okay, let's say the Philosopher's Stone is not the Philosopher's Stone if you want to translate this to our world. It's money. You could actually, you know, kind of force people to give you money through regulations by the government. You could actually force people to give you, I mean, that's basically tax, isn't it? I mean, that's basically tax, right? I mean, if I force you to give me tax, then I force you to give me energy for a service you may not even want, right? It's like, I don't want health insurance, but in Germany you have to have it. You gotta have it. If you don't have it, you're gonna, like, I don't know, what are they gonna do if I don't have health insurance? What are they going to do? If I don't have health insurance, what are they really going to do? Well, it's also hypothetical. Everybody says you have to have it, but I've never met anyone who doesn't have it, or at least I haven't met anyone who said that he doesn't have it. And so that's just a tough one that you may think about or consider. What's it mean to have health insurance? You know, I don't need it because I can take care of myself, right? If I get sick, I just do something. Okay, what I cannot control is, you know, maybe a car, you know, maybe somebody's drunk or is just passing out because he's been driving too long, he just falls asleep, and then he crashes into me. And then I'm all shattered and I'm lying in the, you know, in the waste bin of my own life or something, you know, maybe I just made a poor choice, you know, but I can listen to my feeling, and then there's trust, you know, I trust that I think that's not gonna happen, you know, I also hope that that's not gonna happen, and I think it's also very unlikely that that's gonna happen, because in terms of likelihood, I mean, a meteorite could fall on my head anytime, you know, why should a plane not just crash into me, you know, even if I just stay at home. I mean, have you watched Donnie Darko? I mean, turbines can appear from anywhere. So, you know, just be a little bit careful, or just be, you know, just appreciate life. Just appreciate the fact, wow, I'm still alive now, right? I'm still alive now. And already for days I haven't walked into glass while walking barefoot. I mean, isn't that great? Isn't that something to celebrate and say, hey, you know, maybe, you know, maybe barefoot can actually help you, make you tougher, just stand outside of society a little, you know, be a little bit weird, you know, just see how far not using soap can get you, you know, because suddenly there's like fewer women to worry about that want you to have sex with them, and so you just don't have sex anymore. And if there's somebody that wants it, you just say, yeah, you know, I'm not interested. And then you say, all right, you know, I can accept that. You know, it's working. You know, I stopped showering with soap, and I stopped using, you know, I don't brush my teeth anymore. And suddenly, nobody wants to have sex with me. Or I'm just ignorant about the fact that women may want it. Just ignore them because I'm so in love with this other woman. Which, you know, I may have called my wife before, but I'm still, you know, I'm a little bit uncertain. And that's okay. That's just okay. So, the way it's been pictured in Full Metal Alchemist is that you have the Philosopher's Stone. It's like millions of souls being put together into one, and then saying, hey, you know, that's now, you know, because there are so many souls in there, we can use all this energy for something else. For what? I don't know. You know, the way it's been used there, they just use it for alchemy. They use it to control people with fear. You know, it's hard to translate that into this kind of world, I think, because I mean, there's not just one ball that you then hand to somebody. You know, it's like these little red, I don't know, gelatinous, but also hard balls that you then, you know, can create a homunculus with, which is basically a person that you give that stone to, and then that person can use the life's energy of those souls for whatever purpose, right? And they're kind of embedded to the guy who gave them life, and he kind of controls them. Then you've got greed, and you've got, right, a sloth or something. You know, all these different ones, and that's what you have to face. And that's basically, you know, so you can't just boil it down to, yeah, you know, if you do this, you've got a Philosopher's Stone. No, because in real life, it's like you as a human being, you have to face these things. You have to face greed. You have to face sloth. You know, slouching off, doing nothing, withering away, giving up hope. You have to face lust. You have to face like so many things. And basically that's all these emotions, the 7 deadly sins or whatever. You know, that's also one. 7 deadly sins. Good show. but you know, all these big tits in anime, they just started to ruin the genius, like, because you know, the real genius, you know, there are no, like, I mean, there are giant tits also in Full Metal Alchemist, but at one point it just got so stupid. I mean, I really liked when Fairy Tail started, but it just got, you know, it's just lose it. It's these things just lose themselves. You know, they should just settle on a storyline, and then, you know, they don't have to make it like longer and longer and longer, because I think it's basically ruined One Piece. Or maybe it's actually given One Piece, I don't know. To me, if they would have continued with the storyline how it started with One Piece, you know, I get it, he fell in love with the characters, you know, he fell in love with the story itself, but there's no end to it. And the reason why The Lord of the Rings is so good is because it's finished. He wrote the damn thing. He wrote it. And then he died peacefully, probably in his sleep, right? It's like, you know, I'm a complete man now, you know? It's like Beth sitting in front of Mr. Meeseeks, and, you know, it's like, I want to be a more complete woman. Yeah, and then she realizes, holy fuck, you know, like, Mr. Meeseeks is gonna vanish. He's not gonna stay around for a second glass of wine, and then she says, you know, I've had enough. And then she goes back to Jerry, and she looks all pretty, and she dressed up, and then Jerry's just concerned with his all bullshit. And then Summer says, you're gonna lose her, she's a beautiful woman and you're gonna lose her. It's like, yeah. But sometimes you just have to accept that somebody is more like a slouch. Or that there are, maybe you fall in love with a woman and this woman is really afraid and really insecure. Like, there are women who are super pretty, but they have not an inch of self-love. No matter how much they practice it, and even if they do have, maybe in your arms, she's just gonna melt away. And then you have to take care of this, my friend. Like, then it's your job to take care of the woman. Where you say, I love her, I want to give you a child, I want to be a family together. You know, because a woman may look like a woman, but there's a child on the inside. And that's what you want to connect with when you do Tantra, right? It's like, that's like when you connect to the essence of who that is inside of this. Just as I have a little boy on the inside, and I had to learn to feed and nourish that boy by giving that boy what the boy wants, but also saying, I'm a man now. So we cannot just be greedy all the time now. You know, I know it's nice to be a bit evil. Sure, we can be a bit evil, but just be careful with that, you know. Yeah, alright, once in a while, you know, just smoke some tobacco, just smoke a doobie. You know, you can do it, but just watch it. Because if you keep doing it every day, you know, you feed your shadow, because the light, that's the cosmic semen or something, right? That's like the inner child. If you hear Terence McKenna talking about these elf machines, and please listen to this, it's very important. I picked up on it today while I was listening to it, or maybe now it's already yesterday, I think it's still today. I was listening to Terence McKenna. I've listened to the same recording already before, and I've listened to many others from him. But today, when he was talking about how he goes into this, you know, realm of the elf machines, and what they say is they look like little light bulbs. He calls them elf machines because, you know, he gave into amazement. He never really paid attention to what these things were, because he was, you know, he said it himself, you know, he just had to be amazed because like, oh wow, what's this? You know, he thought these were things that were outside of himself. But the truth is they're inside of himself. And what happens? He smokes a lot of DMT, he gets to this place, and then there's these weird elf machines, right? Like these weird elf machines, that's how he calls them. Little light, you know, little like dots of light that jump in and out of your body and that basically say, look at me, you know, look what I'm doing, you know, repeat it, you know, do what I'm doing. You know who does that? Go to the Boulder Hall with a group of children. You know, these children, and this cannot be random children. It's probably best if it's your own child, or if it's, you know, a child that knows you well. And then see what the child's gonna say. You know, just watch it. Once the child starts climbing, it's gonna look if you're looking. Some children are going to say, here, look at me. And then they're gonna say, you know, also do it. You know, it's like, you know, it's like you say something, the child says something, and then you start laughing for no reason whatsoever. And the child says, look at me, you know, look, I want attention because attention keeps me alive. Which is why self-love works by giving attention to myself. Because if I pay attention to how I feel, wow, that looks super cool. You don't see it the way I see it, but I see it the way... That looks super cool. Wow. There's sometimes I just see these things and I think, wow, give me a camera, I'm gonna take a picture. Or you just say, whatever. Oh wow, I only got 10% battery left. But that's okay, you know, I'm just gonna continue talking until the red light stops. Because technically I think I should still have enough time to continue with this talk, so I will not touch the screen anymore, because that's just wasting energy then. You know, valuable minutes, I could tell you something very important, but I've already said it all. I've already connected it all. So, no, I haven't, you know, what's still missing is, alright, elf machines, little light bulbs, that's basically children. What's the child? What's the spirit? You know, what's the germ that germinates me? What keeps me alive? It's the little child inside of me that says, look at me, you know, why do you think I create so much content? Because I'm connected to my inner child, and who connects me to that inner child is the woman that I'm so madly in love with. Like, I fell in love with her, you know, I'm crazy about her. You know, that's how it feels like. I've never felt like this for anyone. I really hope she feels the same. And the voice in my head says, you know, how can you still doubt it? Because that's what I owe to myself. That's what I owe to my critical... No, that's not bullshit. That's just, I want to see this thing. I want to feel it. I want to touch it. You know, I want to live my life, and I want you, you know, to show yourself to me. To just come around the corner and just be there. Because until that's happened, to me in my life, you know, it's nice that I know that you exist, but until I can hold you in my arms, you're just a fantasy. You're a fabrication. Because that's what I mean. You know, I can go to the forest, I can do psychedelic mushrooms, I can have a vision, but unless I put in the work, that's all that's gonna be. It's just gonna be a vision. It's just something that I saw. How many people do you think have had visions of doing something where they felt it was too great for them? Well, the visions I've been giving, I just said, fuck, I can do it. You know, it's like, it's gonna be a hell. It's gonna be hell. Like, I've never done that. I don't know anybody who's done that. You know, okay, I've heard of people, you know, it's like Gandhi, who did something like that. But I also know I'm not alone. I know I have a lot of abilities, and I've worked hard to prove it to myself. And the further I got, the easier it became, because the more experiences you make in this kind of world, the better, you can like confirm, hey, can I really do it? And then you realize I can. And then suddenly you go to the Boulder Hall and ask for a job, even though you said you don't want to work for anyone anymore. And there's no guarantee that I'm gonna get the job. Maybe I went there to ask for the job because it was important for that employer to hear me ask for the job. I am prepared for this. You see, that's what it means to let go. Also let go of that woman. To say, I fucking love you, like, I will never sleep with any other woman than you. And that's a guarantee. That's what I know in my heart. But there is no guarantee that I'm ever gonna have sex again then. Well, then so be it. I've had a lot of sex. Until the point where it got so boring that I simply stopped having sex. I didn't have to stop having sex. I could have continued like other people, but I simply felt like I had enough of this kind of sex. Now I want to do it right. And that's really weird, because if you don't have sex for a long time, you actually stop wanting it. You just say, yeah, I mean, what's the point? If I can do, if I'm well without sex, then why would I ever have sex again? It's like realizing that you don't need food. Why would you eat again? Because when you eat, you have to shit. I realized I could just fast for the rest of my life. But, I also like food. And sometimes when the fear gets a little bit much, I just want to make sure, right? And then I just eat something. Which is something that's also waiting for me at home. That's like the thing, right? I mean, if spirituality was real, why couldn't the woman where I say I love you, right? Why can't she just walk down the road now? Like, why can't she do that now, Is that too much to ask? It's like, finally, it's here now. Oh, wow, I didn't think it would be like this. Or, I get back home and suddenly she's there and it's like, wow, let's get together. Why can't it be like this? Why can't it be sometimes like crazy miracle things? Because maybe right now I'm expecting it. I'm expecting that, I'm like paying attention. I want to see where it's coming from. But maybe it's just gonna come exactly when you don't expect it. When you already gave up hope. But that's the problem. How can I give up hope for something that's just so beautiful? I mean, I've never met a woman like this. And there's no guarantee. I just have to keep saying that there's no guarantee that this woman will ever be with me. There's no guarantee. You hear me? I'm just running on faith. But the thought that there might be is just so beautiful already. It just fills my heart with so much wonder. But, she's too big to imagine her. What's the feminine? Every woman is the ocean, man. I'm the ocean. I'm an entire universe. The ocean is an entire universe. The forest is its own universe. Okay, you could say it's split in half. Where does water run to? Back to water. That's the law of attraction. I don't need science for that. I don't need to measure this shit. If I know how the law of attraction works, then I know that if it rains, it's gonna pour down, the water goes back into the ocean. And if I'm underwater and I exhale, the bubbles will go back to air. Because air goes back to air and water goes back to water. And as a human, you're both, right? I mean, you're water, you're air, you're earth, you're fire. You're all of these things, and that's the avatar. So, to simply say, that's like Avatar Aang, and he has to carry the weight of no. Everybody is their own avatar. Even if you don't know it, you're still channeling energy made of fire. You may have certain doshas, which is what they Say in Ayurveda, it's like Vata, Kapha, and Pitta. It's like 3 doshas, and they combine different things, you know. I'm not quite sure. I think Kapha is like earth, and I don't know, something else, maybe fire, whatever. And then you can adjust your diet, and then you can even go to a Ayurvedic doctor, and he can tell you things. And I've learned, for instance, that if I eat a lot of tahini, I'm gonna have a lot of heartburn, because tahini is hot. And when you feel cold, you can eat tahini to heat yourself. But if you eat it every day, you may get heartburn, because then you've got too much heat. It's like ginger. You know, if you just drink a lot of coffee, a lot of ginger, you know, that's a lot of heat. It's a lot of heat, and a lot of heat, you know, you're gonna burn, and a lot of burning, you're gonna feel angry. Then your spirit becomes angry, and that's why smoking, you know, makes you more like air. But if you're too much air, or too much like smoke, because smoke is also the combination of something, you know, from the earth and like air or whatever, and fire and whatnot, you know, just figure it out. I mean, it's complicated, all of it. All of it is very complicated, it's very vast, and that's how a woman is like. When you know how vast you are, I can literally look into myself for hours and there's no end to it. I can look into myself for hours and there's no end to it. And I started realizing that other people are exactly the same. I meet them, it's like there's a vastness to them that is hard to describe. And I learned how to look into myself. I can even look into myself, find other people. I don't know how this works. That's like primordial soup stuff, right? It's like everything's like, and then you crawl out of it. You know, maybe you were this little light bulb before, and you just came here because you wanted a lot of attention, you know. Look at me, you know, do what I do. You know, everybody wants somebody to follow them, and that's the mob, right? It's like one person starts doing something, and then everybody else wants to do it. You know, you start producing a certain kind of medication, and then somebody else sees, oh wow, he's doing that, so I'm also gonna do it. And then, you know, you've got like, you know, Pfizer, and then you've got all these other ones. Then you've got Viagra, and then you've got other companies that make Viagra. You know, you could just drink milk with nutmeg. You know, that's like an ancient, like a lot of nutmeg. You know, that's not, you know, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just saying, you know, in ancient like Indian scriptures, you know, nutmeg was used as a lovemaking. You know, it's like you just have to drink this, and when you drink it, you know, you're going to get sexually more active. It enhances the flow of your sexual energy, your sexual chakra. And look at this. I don't know if you saw that. I saw it, and that's about it. You know, I'm just walking over the red light. I'm filming myself, and there was the police, and maybe that's why they stay away from me, because, you know, it's the night and I'm filming myself, and if they come, you know, they're afraid that I'm gonna film them. Because that's the beauty of the internet. You know, they can't just come and put me away, because, right? I'm not sure where I want to go. I don't know, I feel like I want to avoid this street. I want to take that one. You know, I'm really happy when I'm going to be home. It was a hard day. You know, I worked. Different than you would think, you know, work looks like. I'm not quite sure, right? You know, in a way, I hope I will get the job. But getting the job also means, for me, you know, I have to take care of some things. You know, I still hope that actually I'm just gonna start earning money with what I'm doing. You know, this kind of this. So that instead of going there and working for them and then getting money and having to, like, I don't know what, concern myself with certain things. That's, you know, it's like prerequisites if you want to be part of whatever state is, whatever social system is. You know, I like being a bit like a renunciate. I like being like this. But if you run really low on money for a very long time, you know, you're gonna get a little bit pissed. And I think I'm already on minus. I don't know, right? I don't know if I'm on minus. You know, what's a credit? You know, I don't know why I bought beer today. Why did I go climbing? I could have just stayed at home. I had a conversation with someone. He may buy a book, but, you know, it's like, these things, they just seem really slow, if you know what I mean. I mean, I have a conversation with you today, and maybe in 3 weeks' time you're gonna buy a book. And then, you know, how long is that gonna take?